ladies and gentlemen, our viewers, ISUZU stakeholders, ISUZU's friends, and everybody out there who's watching us today. This is a great moment that we are discussing a topical issue this week or this month, celebrating Father's Day. The setting today is in a garage where we thought we can discuss fathers' issues and men's issues, and where we need repairs, we get repaired and we get re-energized so that we can continue playing the roles that we play. Today I have panelists, great men who will be talking to us about the role of a father in today's world, considering what has been happening in the last few years, and we are going to delve into that. So I will go straight into introducing my panel, or rather I will ask them to introduce themselves. I will ask the gentleman in red to speak into the camera, say his name, and briefly what he does, and then we will go to the next, and then we'll be knowing each one of them as we continue. Karibu.
So thank you very much. My name is Kipkosgei Sholei. I work for ISUZU East Africa as the General Manager for Government and Fleet Sales at the Sales and Marketing Division. I have worked for the company for the last 20 years. I am a father of 4 children, married for close to 20 years. The experience I've had in ISUZU and being a father has been really very amazing. It's been a very amazing journey, and that is why today I'm very, very happy to participate in this discussion to appreciate the role of the father in the society. And I would really be glad that after all this, there's going to be some great learnings for the fathers out there to be able to take up its rightful position in life. Thank you very much.
Karibu sana.
Thank you very much. My name is Flavor Mangula. First of all, I'm a father, and then I'm a life coach as well. I'm very passionate about fatherhood and the male or the boy child, for that matter. I carry out, I have what I do is that I mentor young men in matters to do with finances, health, God, hygiene, and everything in between. And I match that with fatherhood as well. I do talk to fathers. We've had a very long-standing relationship with Simon, who has been also a very good friend over the years, close to 20 years. And I'm a father of 2 adult children who are in university, and very passionate about creating a sense of belonging for the man and the boy child.
Karibu sana.
Excellent. My name is Simon Bevy, Executive Director of Transform Nations. We do different programs for men. We have the Boys to Men, we have Man Enough, one of the programs a lot of men have taken, and Intentional Dads. So I'm just really passionate advocate for the boy child and men and family generally. I'm a father of 3 and married to 1 Sophia, and I'm glad to be part of this conversation.
Thank you very much. So now we get into the conversation, and we start with Pastor Mbevi. Does a Superman exist? Is there a Superman that we are all expected to identify with?
Well, Superman exists in movies. Yeah, in movies we see that, but in real life, we are all human. I think what I would say, what exists is a real man, someone who is committed to several things. That they're committed to being good. We should talk in Man Enough about being a good man. That means developing your character to be a person who would do the right thing, and being good at being a man. And that is developing the skills that you need to play your roles in the society as a man. So there's really no superhero when it comes to masculinity and fatherhood. During this Father's Day, yesterday, I was telling my children, you know, I'm not a perfect dad, but my heart is right. I want the best for you guys. Even when I do some things that get to hurt you, really, my heart is right. And I think that's what matters when it comes to masculinity.
What do you think, in your experience in Man Enough and Transform Kenya, what issues keep popping up that maybe top 2, top 3 that keep popping up?
Yeah. Well, I would say 3 things, because I should say manhood is a 3-legged stool. So we put our weight on that. And the 3 pillars are, number 1, character issues, which is about honor. It's about honor, us being honorable people. Character issues in terms of morals, corruptions, crime, stuff like that. Those ones are big for us. As we say in Swahili, asiyeziba ufa atajenga ukuta. If we don't repair the cracks in our character, then they're going to mess up our reputation as men.
Yeah.
But secondly, it's duty, responsibility. Just men running away from their responsibility. It could be at home, it could be at work, it could be in the community, it could be political or otherwise. A man is seen in the weight they carry, because we have duties and we've got to do those duties. Lastly is caring. Do we really care for the people close to us? Do we care for our children, to parent them well, for our wives, and for the weak and for those who need help? So I would say it's really among those 3. Honor, that's character issues. Duty, that's responsibility. And care, that we don't neglect our duty of care to those who are closest to us.
That's very deep, so to speak, because it cuts through the heart of being the man. And I'm coming to flavor now. COVID-19 happened and disrupted everything. And of course, honor, character, responsibility was affected. What is going through the mind of a man right now, trying to be the man in that situation?
So first and foremost, I think one of the most fundamental things of life is to understand your role as a man. To be male is a matter of birth. To be a man is a matter of choice. And what is going on in very many men's lives right now is exactly what's happening behind us.
Yeah.
This setting is set up in a garage. Very many men are in garages right now. They are in spaces where they are hurt, where they are hopeless, where they are disrupted, and they're trying to find their mojo, they're trying to find their true north again. Very many businesses were disrupted, very many marriages were disrupted, very many families were disrupted. And men, as I know them, and the ones that I've interacted with, for the most part are going through a season of healing, a season of rebuilding, a season of rejigging themselves. And it's not an easy task. And I would like to tell the very men who are listening today that don't feel sat upon by society, or don't feel discouraged. A man falls but wakes up again. A true man, you take initiative, you live responsibly, you lead sacrificially, you love faithfully, and you leave a legacy. Yeah. That's what a true man is all about.
Yeah.
And we learn this in Man Enough. I mean, that's the general here can attest.
Yeah.
The lieutenant general is doing it. You see, and that's what I teach. That's what I live for.
Yeah,
and that's very important.
Yeah. It's you can say that, and it's good to encourage that. But the weight sometimes is too heavy. And I'm coming to Shirley now. Is there a time when a man feels, nimeshindwa, the weight is too much, and I can't move on? And what happens after that?
I think the weight the men carry is very enormous. And I think it's an everyday experience for men. Men carry a lot of heavy loads. And I think it starts from the issue of responsibilities, as the way Pastor Mbegi Flavor said. And the responsibilities are well defined, first and foremost biblically, that there are certain responsibilities a man must do. He's a spiritual head, he's a protector, and he's a provider. So that alone exerts a lot of pressure on the man to try to be able to execute all those responsibilities to the satisfaction of every stakeholder within his life. It's always a tough experience for the man. When you talk about even providing again has got another financial bearing, because you have to provide shelter, the basics, clothing, food, and education for your children. So it's that again, every day a man faces that kind of pressure. Secondly, the issue of also work. The rate of unemployment in this country is very high. So even for those people who don't have work, it's always a pressure on men to try to even to bring food on the table and to be able to even provide for the family. The expectation of the society that a man must be a real man, that again puts a lot of pressure on the man. I remember when we had the first session, men go through all those issues, but they have no other way of ventilating.
Yeah.
And our good pastor here talked about actually a man cry. A man is not expected to cry. So that again is a pressure in itself for a man, because there's no way to ventilate.
You're under pressure to cry, but you cannot cry because you're a man.
Yes. You don't cry because of a man.
Yeah. When you feel that the weight is too much,
yes,
do you set it down and leave? What happens?
So when the weight is too much, there are a couple of ways out of my own experience that I've been able to do. When the weight is too much, first and foremost, you seek help. One is from your close family, or your close friends, or your close peers, and to be able to communicate exactly what is happening. You may be surprised that there are still a few good people in this world who can be able to give you advisory, or even be able to help you materially. Personally, during COVID, I had relatives that were in ICU for a long time, and the bills were very, very high, and I had to go to my friends to ask for help. So the first thing is really to reach out there. The other one, of course, is to be courageous enough, first and foremost, to accept the situation that yes, there's this pressure, but you don't let the pressure run you down. So you accept there's a problem. So the moment you accept, that's the time that you start now refocusing and saying, okay, fine, there's a problem. What do I need to do? You break down the problem, and if there are some of those things you're able to do, it may be like it's financial. Maybe you can cut back on some expenses. If it's an issue of maybe a marriage problem, then maybe you can even be able to really talk to a counselor. If it's a work-related issue, you can even be able to talk to your boss and your peers to be able now to see what are the kind of solutions that you can be able to get. The others, of course, would be maybe like us to step back a bit to try to refocus and see what I do wrong, what can I be able to correct, how do I progress. So there are many avenues that a man can actually be able to surmount the pressures that come with modern life.
You said a word called courage, must be courageous.
Yes.
And I want to come to Pastor Mbevi at this point. How does a man face society? How do you face your in-laws, your children? Things are not working.
Yeah.
How do you rise from the ashes?
Yeah. I think part of what is said, being real men, it means being vulnerable, to be able to talk about what you're facing.
Yeah.
One of the men during COVID lost his job, and so he couldn't provide for his family, and he couldn't tell his wife that he has lost his job for a month and a half. He was pretending that he's still okay until he got to my office. And he was feeling like, if I tell them that I don't have this job, they're going to panic. And I had to tell him, you cannot play superhero or God. You've got to have the courage to face yourself and then face others. And realize there's a lot of grace. I think we have this pressure in society that, as a man, you shouldn't cry, you should look like in church, should look strong and all of that. And it's a greater courage to face your weakness and reveal your challenges than just to tough it out.
Yeah.
We say mwanaume anakufa kikondo. This is East Africa. I think they understand a bit of that. But it means you die, but you die alone. You don't say nothing.
Yeah.
And that's a myth. That's a bad, socialization. Courage means you can go to your wife and say, I'm going through this, and I'm fighting it out, and I believe there's a way out. We don't have money here, but we need to do something. You don't have to be the smartest kid on the block to be the leader. Just need to know how to harness the smarts in the room. You don't have to be the richest man to be the president, because you're mobilizing resources from within to supply to the country. And so this feeling that as men we've got to have the solutions, deal with it, it just makes it hard for us to live. We are human after all. Face your in-laws, face your wife, face your workmates, but also make sure you have a small group, and that's what we say in Man Enough. You may not be able to speak to everyone and say I'm broke, or guys, I'm being beaten up by my wife, or my children are kicking me out. But you can have a few men like this that you know you can open up to and talk to. That's the courage we are talking about. Tell them, guys, things are thick. I'm always very happy when in Man Enough, a man would stand up and say, I've never told anyone this, but this is what I'm going through, and I need your help. To be strong, it's to be strong enough to allow your weaknesses to come out and for you to be supported by others.
Flavor. Peer pressure. Peer pressure does exist, and we know, like Baby just said, that you want to look like you're doing okay. You want to compare yourself with the others and their success. What does that do to a man?
So, first of all, peer pressure is good also. There is positive peer pressure and there is negative peer pressure. Okay? Now, negative peer pressure is what we've just talked about. Wanting to emulate success from another angle. Another man's success can never be yours. Thinking that you want to measure your success by another man is actually limiting what purpose God has locked down inside of you. It is impossible to be successful in another person's life. You have to find purpose in yourself, know your calling, know your destiny, where God has called you to be and at what time. Of course, there's ego. We are men. We like, that's why the first thing the men do when they meet is, hi, my name is Flavor. So what do you do? Okay? That is to compare. Is this man that I'm about to talk to, where is he at? So that I place him and I know how to talk with him. Or do I talk down to him? Or do I talk with him? Do I talk up to him? You understand what I'm saying? So success and that aspect of comparison is what is killing also very many men. If you are sure and you know your purpose and you're waking up every day connected to that destiny that God has called you to be, you will never, no matter how many successful men you sit within, you're very content within yourself.
Okay, so I'll come to you, Shole, in terms of coaching our boys. Are we teaching our young boys, those who are in teenage, in now becoming men? And
yes, we are teaching the young boys to become men in various forms. I think we've done so much, of course, given the fact that the boy child has been very, very challenging. So we have done deliberate efforts to mentor and coach the young men to be men. And it starts, and I said again, it starts again with parenting. As a father, you teach your children and give them the necessary values and of character. Give them guidance. Give them knowledge and direction, and also give them opportunity to be who they can be. In formal setups where you are able to see and take an opportunity to mentor young men, both even at workspace and also even at the community level. As I said again, that I am an alumni of Sarai Boys Center. So we do have a lot of those giving back in terms of going back to really coach the boys and also mentor them in forms of character. And there are many things. We even talked about personal organization, personal hygiene, time management, the roles and responsibilities towards himself and society. And the issue of discipline and character really comes out very strongly. Because I do believe that if you mentor somebody along those lines, you will be able to create a solid person. We normally say, you rather holistically, create a person than to create somebody who can excel academically but is not able to interface with the society.
Yeah.
And that is how now we are not able to create leaders of integrity and leaders of value.
Yeah.
And those are the kind of challenges we tell them that, even this country is going through a lot of leadership crisis because there's a gap. And those are the kind of gaps that we're trying to close at different levels.
Yeah.
The issue of the rites of passage, both culturally and also in the modern setup, that we also engage in. Culturally, we do quite a bit that I said includes the physical issues that translates a boy to a man, and the modern one that also just gives the holistic view about life, and also in a modern setup and the modern challenges that life has brought. So we try to prepare the boy to really go out there and be a man and being able to take up his rightful role in society. And you can even see the girl child is really overtaken the boy in various things. There are certain forums we've been, and we've had panelists, a boy and a girl, and you will find that the girl is very confident.
Yeah.
And the boy is always not able to really articulate himself. And you can actually see that is the impact of an agenda that has been depressed.
But surely, let me isn't that a factor of not being hardened or not being given that opportunity as you're growing up? Why would they be shy at that particular point?
I think first and foremost, I think the stereotyping of the society that a man must be this man. So when they fall short of that, then it completely impacts them in terms of their confidence levels, in terms of their esteem. So that alone, that being a man you must be almost like a superhero, the way Pastor said, that alone puts a lot of pressure to the point that actually they lose that focus.
Yeah.
They lose that space.
Yeah.
Maybe the thing I would add there, as we move on, is you see, for a girl, right from when she's very young, she's connected with her mother and several other women.
Yeah.
So they build the confidence because there are other women involved with her. They're talking about issues, they're being encouraged, there are opportunities for them. But a lot of these young men, I think the other day the president was decrying the fact in Kenya that the single parent, single mom families have really multiplied. It's a big deal. So a lot of those boys don't have a man present with them, and when that doesn't happen, of course he loses the confidence. Grew up without a father, and I lost a lot of confidence for a long time until some men came into my life and began to speak into me, and that's when confidence began to grow. Also, there are a lot of fathers, and I love the efforts we are making, but there are a lot of fathers, and we have met them, where they actually want to connect with their children, but they don't know how, because their daddy never connected with them. And they need some mentoring to know, yes, I love my children, I want to get involved, but what do I do? A lot of fathers who feel ill-equipped, and they want to get, the encouragement, the guidance to be able to connect with their children.
And just to add to what
Go ahead.
Simon is saying, girls from a very young age are actually mentored to be mothers. They're both dolls. So the nurture comes in at a very young age. But the boy child is left to his own devices. And if anything happens in his life, he's told, "Wait, kangum." Just what you said. Kasugu. That's where we lose it. And even with all due respect to all single mothers who are raising young men, it is impossible, a point reaches where it becomes impossible for you to continue with your duties as a father, mother. You see, there's this notion in society, but mimi ni baba na mama. I am against that notion in totality. Recently I was seeing during Father's Day, some mothers being sent Happy Father's Day messages. That's twisted, man. That's very twisted. That's celebrating the fact that dads don't matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you're a failed dad, you're a deadbeat dad, or whatever kind of father you are.
Yeah.
There is nobody who can take the position of father in a child, whether deadbeat or otherwise. And we need to be able to understand, even as single parenting moms, that a child needs a community of men. Because that boy needs a man to call the man out of him, not a woman. You need a man to call the man out of a boy. And the more we celebrate this notion of Happy Father's Day to women, The more we're celebrating the fact that dads don't matter, fathers don't matter, we need to put a stop to that.
But let's talk about probably the cause. Why is it that maybe the fathers will not want to connect to their children, the absentee dads, or they've left? Have they been pushed out by the women? What is
There are
this?
many factors. Because sometimes some are pushed out by the women.
Yeah.
Some are actually invalidated. Okay? And some fathers sometimes, they have celebrated their careers over their role as a father. Your career will never be there for you.
Yeah.
I mean, with all due respect, Bonashule has been in GM for 20 years. The day God calls him home, all the real estate he needs is 4 by 6 by 6. ISUZU will come to bury him. ISUZU in 1 week will have an advertisement for general manager government sales. But when you're a true father, that boy, that girl, that legacy outlives you.
Yeah.
They are the eyes that will be in the future that you'll be absent from.
Yeah.
So you need to really fight to be present.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you allow me, I think the issue of the current position of the boy child, why they lack self-confidence. Of course, there are many factors. It could even be the absenteeism of the father, just like the way Pastor said. But in my own opinion, there are also certain legislative things that have been done in this country that have actually put the boy in a very delicate situation. You see, there's been very good interventions for the girl child. If you remember the Beijing Accord that said, look, listen, the woman should be put in this level. Even and different legislations also. Yeah. Today we have women reps who take special interest of the women, yeah, and the girl child. We have affirmative actions, but we don't see the same. So, and these men also are seeing that even the country is focusing on the girl, and the boy is left out, and that is actually the cause why it explains why some of the issues the boy today is facing, because they feel neglected. Even if you have a physically present father, but you don't have the necessary opportunity from a regulation or a legal standpoint, then you also feel that this country doesn't really value the boy child. And to add to that, the environment that both genders operate are the same. But at the end of the day, when it comes to responsibilities, the boy child is expected to do more, yet you have gone the same schools, you have gone to the same universities, you have the same entry jobs that basically pays you the same. So and it goes to some of those things of maybe like you've gotten married to your former schoolmate, for example, and you find that the stereotyping of your money is our money and my money, so that pressure already. So you see, the money you earn, somehow you have to spend it to the immediate family and the society.
David looks like he wants to say something about that.
Shule is painting the picture, like we under siege. So we need to help ourselves, but maybe also to say, with all due respect, as he likes to say, that we also fail in many ways. Because fathers don't have a father instinct. Mothers have a mother instinct. So nature helps them a lot more. When you have had a child in the womb and you breastfeed them, you get a connection with them. Many fathers are introduced to their babies, and they believe it's a baby. But
that's another story for another day.
But with all that, sometimes we neglect our children. Research shows a father is 3 times more likely to neglect their child than a mother. Because of that natural connection. So some of us neglect, some of us in the village, we get to become, drunkards, and you are not really there. But also the notion we have in culture that the child belongs to the mother. That means as fathers, sometimes we feel like our role is not very important. As long as we pay school fees, they'll survive. They'll be with their mother. So we also need to change those attitudes.
Let's talk about men crying. It may not be tears, but you're hurting and you're feeling frustrated. Are there support systems? Because women will go eat cake, chocolate, drink coffee, you know, cry and
talk it out. If I have a difference with my wife, by evening she'll have talked to 3 women and dealt with it. So she comes home happy, and I'm wondering why is she happy? We had a problem. But it's because I did not talk to him. But she has talked to others. And part of it is when we are stressed as men, we get into a fight or flight mode, and we don't really get to a place where we can open up. And society makes it hard for us as well. If you found a woman in the office, maybe a general manager lady in the office crying, we can all excuse it and work around it. But if you found this man crying in the office, what's wrong with men these days? They need to man up. Some people may even take a video and post it. So society doesn't give us permission to show our challenges, but we need to give ourselves permission, because society is us. We need to give ourselves permission. I talk about ABCD for men when it comes to stress and these challenges. A is acknowledge. Acknowledge that there is a problem. Denying it doesn't solve it. You just push yourself further from the solution. Acknowledge that there's a marriage problem, there's a provision problem, that you don't have a job. Acknowledge. B is boldly face it. Boldly face it. Say, I need to go and see a counselor, or I need to forgive this person who has hurt me, or I need to get another job. You know, boldly face the problem. What do you need to do to deal with the situation? And counseling we don't like, but it's a way of acknowledging that I need help. C is community. We need each other as men. As a friend of mine who you would know him if I mentioned him, but his wife told him, I don't want to see your ugly face here tonight. So get out of here, because they had some issues. And so he packed a few clothes in his bag, and he went to take a drink with his brothers. And in the middle, after he became a little tipsy, you know, he got the courage to tell them, hey, but hey guys, I have nowhere to go tonight. So they laughed and they said, pewa ingine.
Typical of men, right?
Typical of men. But at the end of it, you know, everybody said, hey, I need to go home, and left him. So he was left in the pub alone. And he told me that's the day he realized he didn't have real friends. He just had drinking mates, but not people who could help him. Nobody invited him to their home to go and spend the night. He ended up spending the night in the pub. So we need to create some real relationships with brothers whom we can call and say, man, things are thick, I need some help, and walk with them. Community. D is, I should say, we need to depend on God. There are times that things are so huge, no man can help you. You need to reach out to God. And prayer is seen to be a way of reducing stress, because you take this to a higher power and you're able to relax. So, of course, we don't support each other enough. But as men, guys, let's rise up, create good communities. Brotherhood is important. Acknowledge, boldly face it. Depend on your community to walk with you, brotherhood, and depend on God.
You've touched on a very key point about having real friends, because a lot of people have drinking buddies, you have golfing buddies, you have, you know, road trip buddies, but when you are in a problem, all of them suddenly just leave you alone. And that brings me to what I want to ask Flavor. The caveman. We sometimes men retreat into a cave, and like you said, peer pressure is both good and bad. And being in a cave can also be both good and bad. Talk to us about retreating to the cave.
So, in modern times, the cave has become virtual. In the United States, most houses have an underground compartment below ground level. So the modern man has created a virtual cave for himself. And that virtual cave is very dangerous to go into, because most men, when they go into their caves, they don't come out. By the time they're coming out, you're bringing out a corpse. There is nothing as dangerous as going into a cave, even as a man, and not communicating your reasons for going into the cave, especially if you're married. Tell your spouse, I'm recalibrating. I'm rethinking a few things. I will need some time and space. So if you see me quiet, don't take it personally. I'm just working on me to become a better version of myself for you. And she'll give you the space, and she'll communicate herself to herself and to you as well.
Yeah.
What, how you doing?
Yeah.
Are you ready to talk?
Yeah.
How you doing personally?
Yeah.
Are you receiving growth?
Yeah.
Are you enriching yourself? So that helps the man also heal and come out of his darkness and his conundrum as well.
Yeah. Shole, tell, what do you do to breathe? You've heard about being in a cave, sometimes being stressed. There's a famous speaker who calls it being in the nothing box.
Yeah.
What do you do when you want to breathe? Things are tough.
To decompress, to process.
So first and foremost, I think to breathe is just to pause or to hold. If you are in a situation, there are many ways you can be able to breathe. One of the things that I would do is to step back from the situation, and then that gives me an opportunity to be able to see the situation in a different way. So what I do myself as to breathe is, of course, one is I reach out to people that I trust. As you say, again, the challenge there is how many people you trust.
Yeah.
And you realize with the modern times, the man also talks a lot. We used to say maybe gossiping was for women, but today you cannot even be able to share a problem with your friend. Tomorrow you'll be able to whatever. But
it will be everywhere.
To the person that you trust most,
Yeah.
either within your peer network,
Or
through your family, or through your pastor. So personally, also as baby and I said, there's the issue of surrounding yourself within a religious setup. Personally, that breather, to be able to really communicate to my pastor and be able to tell him exactly what I'm facing through, whether it's financial, whether it's work related, whether it's family related, that has enabled me to breathe. And again, I breathe through also the fact that after I've stepped back and I've analyzed the problem, I take that acceptance and I build courage now to be able now to really move forward and make a decision, that will either change the situation in a positive manner, and that is basically what I would want. Assuming I had a financial problem, if I step back, I thought I was overspending, or over, there's something called the African syndrome, whereby you support a lot of people. So if you do realize then that a lot of your financial problems are arising out of either overspending because you want to help each and everyone, then you cut back. It gives you that breather for you to be able now to relook and focus on what is important. So and also I take a hobby. If I like games like golf, I do golf. If I like traveling just to release a bit of stress, I do that. And so there are so many avenues that a man can take breather.
Are you a golfer?
Yes, I'm a golfer.
Okay, I need to be recruited into it because I feel you golf as well.
Yeah, but I stopped.
You're very much welcome. So there are so many avenues that men can use to breathe, and it's very, very important for your mental well-being, very important for your health, because you see, if you don't take that breather, a lot of other things will come in. Issue of health challenges, the stress, and today we've just been told the mental issues in this country has become a national disaster. It's a pandemic. So for us to be able to avoid some of those things, you take that breather, by either what I've said, communicating, reaching out for help, you counseling, doing what you like to do, all that. So there's still an opportunity for us to breathe and be able to recalibrate ourselves to be the real man that we want to be.
That, and I think maybe we'll want to speak into that. That brings out another issue now, that the pent-up anger and frustration then now is taken out on somebody else. loved ones, even on self. And how can we avoid that? How can we avoid that? And coming back to the support system and talking.
I like that question because, as you're saying, we have had a lot of deaths and fights and stuff like that. Part of it is having those habits. For me, I also like a drive. I like to watch a movie. A movie as a way, especially an action movie. Just for me, it works. For another person, it may not. But find out those things that help you relax. For me, it's a movie, it's a drive, it's a walk in the park, things like those, a hike. Those things help me. But secondly, I think I would say we need to come alive to the fact that we can see counselors. We can find someone else to help us. As men, we don't like counseling, but it helps. There are times I've called someone who is a counselor and said, this is what I'm going through, just listen. Don't even give me solutions, just ask me questions. And that helps me sometimes even find the solutions myself, as someone else guides me. Another one is the programs that we do, like Man Enough really helps. Because you sit with other men, they talk about their own problems, you talk about yours, and you feel better. I think that used to be the place of a fireplace, where all of us are looking at the fire and talking our issues and bringing them out. And at the end of the day, we leave there feeling way better. We need to give ourselves permission to fail, but don't stay down when you fall. Find other men that you can raise each other up and be able to deal with it. Lastly, I would say, let's not go to the negative ways of letting it out. Drinking too much. And you find a man is drowning his problems, but in the process he's destroying himself, or going to drugs, or then the harmful ways. Let's realize there's always a way out. There's always a way out. Never allow yourself to feel so boxed in that the only way is suicide and harming yourself and alcoholism and stuff like that. We need to realize we can actually talk together and get ways out of this.
Flavor, talk to us about self-love. That's a term that a lot of women are talking about. Self-love, taking care of yourself.
You cannot lead where you've not been. It's impossible. So where are you leading people to? You have to lead yourself first and then lead others to that destiny. Same way with love. If you don't love yourself, if you don't forgive yourself, you can't forgive, you can't love. So the first station of love is yourself. Ask yourself, what can I do for myself? There are many times I just come out of the house and go and buy that shirt you've been wanting to buy. Go into that wardrobe and take out that shirt you've been sparing, that it's too expensive to wear it to go and visit Simon. Wear it, even if you're waiting for 2 hours. Wear it and come back and let it be washed. We have no control of the time that we will depart from this earth. Every moment is important. It is a gift. We are seated here today. We're having this discussion. There are very many other men who are on drips in hospital. Some are actually being conducted. Their services for burial are being conducted as we speak. But we are lucky to be alive. What are you doing with that gift that you've been given today? Do you love yourself enough to be able to actually transmit that love to your spouse, to your children, to your colleagues, to those that come within your field of vision? It's impossible to impact if you have no love. The first station is yourself. When you love yourself, you're able to impact your society.
As we come to Shule, I'm just wondering from Shule what you would say, because these days we have ladies going for holiday. They go with their fellow ladies, they go to Dubai, they go and have a good time and come back. That seems to be acceptable. I don't know how they would take it if we organize
that. You would never hear the end of it. How can 5 men go on a holiday alone? That would be a problem immediately. And that brings me to something that happened in Baringo just the other day. This school called a Parents' Day for the fathers only. And it has been a national news issue because they were asking, why are you calling men only? And probably some of you may have seen it. But when they called their mothers, nobody raised an issue. But now they called their fathers because the girls wanted to have a session with their fathers. And it became a problem.
Mishaki, let me tell you one thing. The most important parent in a girl's life is a father.
Absolutely.
It's not the mother. It's the father. A girl will ultimately date someone who is like the dad, or date someone who is not like the father at all.
Opposite.
Okay? Now, where does the mother come in? The mother comes in after she has committed to that man. Then she will also be a wife like she saw her mother, or completely opposite. In whatever context that you look at it, the man is highly important. And then this now brings something to the fore as well for men. How are you living your life? Are you intentional? Are you cognizant of the fact that you are very important to these children you brought to the earth? You have time for an MBA, you have time for golf, you have time for a whiskey binge, you have time for a road trip, but you don't have time for your children. You need to recalibrate. It's important.
Go ahead, Shole.
So let me just add to what Clever said. Occasionally when we have children in school, so occasionally we are called to have a talk, and it basically focuses on child development. It's very right, Flavor has said that for the girl child, the father is very important. The role of the father is very important. But from what we've learned, and from what research has presented itself, you have until maybe 12 years as a father to really be there and inculcate those values to your child. After that, the character of your child, whether boy or girl, is already crystallized, and you cannot unfreeze and refreeze.
It's actually settled.
So actually, yes.
Yes.
Something to be said.
It's actually settled.
So if the father is not very present within those timelines, then you lose the child to the mother. And if you don't have maybe like a strong mother, you will get that child back after the university, maybe 22, 23. But that child will be very, very different. It's lost. You will either be brought a child that is already been compromised value-wise, because at that point in time when they grow up, when they get into adolescence, they don't want to hear anything about the father. The father will always be saying no. The mother somehow is a bit easy. Let them go out with the teenagers, and you see by the time they come back to you, and now they connect father to daughter, you find that this person that you took care of when they were young is a different person when they come back to you later on. But we are happy, God is a good God. At the end of the day, that love, that natural love between the father and the daughter is permanent. So somehow you will still have an opportunity, although it's going to be very difficult.
As we come to a close, to a conclusion of this session, let's talk about this. What the president talked about recently, and there's a study which was done. 47% of households are being run by single mothers, and we will not conclude this discussion if we don't talk about responsibility and taking responsibility for your family. How can we make sure that we are there, despite the pressure to provide, to be there for your spouse, your children. And if it is not possible, because things don't always work right, how do we deal with it? Divorce, separation, and stuff like that. Let's start from...
I think I would say, for those of us who are fathers, let's play our role. Let's realize we are very important to our children. In fact, I think the social stability of any community is determined by the presence and involvement of fathers. I think research shows that when fathers are engaged with their children, and not just their children, when they are present in the community, suicide rates go down, poverty rates go down, teenage pregnancies go down, and crime rates go down. In fact, some social scientists say the greatest predictor of crime in any community is absence or presence of fathers. So we are very important. Let's take ourselves seriously. To be present, to be providers, to be protectors, to be priests who are teaching values, and also to be prophets who call out these children to what they are becoming. Having said that, I think in these situations of single parent homes, mainly single mom homes, number one, as men, we need to realize that we are fathers in the community, not only to our children. And so there are many young men I'm mentoring, and you're doing the same, and he is doing the same. Let's take responsibility for the community, even for our sisters and our relatives. Where a man is not involved, let's jump in and get involved. Number two, let's train mentors. And I think you are doing that, I am doing that. We're training mentors, and almost every day, including this morning, a single mom will call me and say, I have a son who needs to see a mentor because the father is not involved. And I say, yeah, we have mentors who are trained who can get to work with your boy and help out. So we need to have many mentors. And go back to our schools and mentor those boys in Starehe where you are. Go and mentor the boys in my school, in your school. Let's get involved. Lastly, I think I would say to the ladies, we need to allow the men to get involved. There are those men who have neglected, but there are those who want to get involved. But the mother of the children is so annoyed with this man, he doesn't want anything to do with the man. Now, you may have issues with the father of your children, but your children deserve and they have a right to connect with their father, unless he's harmful. But to connect with him, because one day they'll blame you as a mother for not allowing their father to get involved. So allow the daddy to get involved. I'll say, I know there's a lot more we could say. Let me give them permission.
But let's come to Shole, then Flavor closes.
Yeah, so I think the issue of presence of a man in such circumstances where now there's an increased number of single ladies is first and foremost to acknowledge that, you know, some of those situations occur.
Yeah.
Why are women single? Either they are separated or they're divorced, or some of them have actually made a choice to be single. And as a father, I'd want to agree with Pastor that first and foremost, irrespective of what situation that caused that separation, let's take our responsibility. Let's be present. And I mean, being present here means work out an arrangement for the man to be able to do those responsibilities by physically being there. Either it's going to be an arranged visit, assuming maybe like the court has ordered a divorce and also has given visitation rights. One of those ones so that you don't lose that opportunity. Number two, also be emotionally there, so that even if you go and see your child, connect with them emotionally. Use that opportunity to encourage and to inspire and tell them, look, all is not lost. You know, daddy is still here. So we should be there both physically, emotionally, and spiritually, despite even the fact that, you know, there are single ladies there who still take over children. So the man should just continue to take courage and to play his role and be present.
Excellent. Flavor.
It's interesting how my colleagues have summed it up. I normally give a very practical example. We have 7 days in a week. I have a day for myself. I take care of me. I do me. I have a day that I will dedicate to my partner and only her. There's a day I will dedicate to my children and only them. And there's a day I'll dedicate to the family together and only them. There's a day I'll dedicate to my friends, and there's a day she'll dedicate to her friends as well. And there's some free days as well that can be easy. Now, having said that, for example, myself, my 2 kids, my son is 22 and my daughter is 20. They're in campus. I spend time individually with them and together. They are different. One is a boy, one is a girl. Okay? When my daughter started having her monthly period, the first person she told was me. Just to define the kind of relationship that we have. And every day of the week that we are supposed to meet, unless it's an act of God, we have to create time for it together. Even if it's on the staircase or in the car or in the parking, 1 hour at least of FaceTime. Yeah. Because the world is heavy with stuff that they want to infuse these young people and then release them as bandits into this world and then blame you as a father. So we have to be present. And that presence, like he says, is going to be physical, emotional, and many other ways, spiritually included. And that's something in terms of responsibility that we need to internalize as men. That if we don't take responsibility with our children, the world is ready with enough stimuli to take them, chew them up, and spew them like it doesn't care for them. So we have to be intentional, deliberate, and very active within our children's spaces.
Yeah. Thank you very much, gentlemen. That's been a very, I know we could talk for the whole day, probably do a bonfire.
Maybe and as you close, I could just mention I have a resource here.
Yeah.
That is Destiny, the difference that the father makes.
Just hold it up so that
It's just a good book that you could feel free to order from my socials, Simon Bevy. You can let us know that you need a copy and we will get it to you.
Absolutely.
And it's just a resource for the men to father better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was very incisive, very informative discussion out of life experiences. I know you run programs, both of you, so you could also tell those who are viewing where they can find you.
Yeah.
Maybe a number or a handle where they can find you. Bevy, maybe?
Yeah, I think I said Simon Bevy, my Twitter and social media generally handles, but also Transform Nations. We have Intentional Dads, which is a program for fathers for 8 weeks. We also have Man Enough, which we have done for a long time together, that could also help with the men, and several other programs that you can find. Transform Nations or Simon Bevy social media handles, and also my number is 0722 606-120 in case you'd like to contact us. Thank
Absolutely. Flavor?
Well, I lead a bunch of men called Muscles Men's Fellowship. We're about 200 men, and we basically just get together virtually, get vulnerable to each other, talk about life, talk about the challenges that we face in life, and how we can actually become better men. So you can get in touch with me on 0727-979716 if you want to join us. And I also do a boys program called Zinduka. It's at Zinduka, ZINDUQAH.co.ke. We basically mentor young men to become better versions of themselves and become actually men of honor in society. We teach them very many things from money, financials, to morals, sexuality, to God and the role of God in their lives and their role in society as well. And you can find me also on social media, Flavor Ari Mangs on Facebook, and on IG, The Chairman.
Thank you very much for being with us, for sitting with us in the garage as we discussed. It was intentional so that we create that environment that we as men will feel free to discuss the issues that are facing us. We heard words like courage, responsibility, taking time to reach out to others. Do not suffer, do not be pained alone. Reach out to somebody else who you can trust and talk to them so that we can solve the issues that we may be facing together. We thank ISUZU East Africa very much for facilitating this discussion, and we will continue bringing more of this even as we live our corporate life, even as we do work. We also are fathers, and we are brothers, and some of us grandfathers, and we need to create that space to talk about our issues. We thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.